All right, so it is January 6th, and that means we can budget out our very first paycheck for 2022. Hi everyone, my name is Jackie. We are enjoying life's journey. Welcome to the channel. We like to do our weekly budgets or our paycheck budgets here on the channel. And so every Friday you can join me, and I basically go on and do our budget on Thursday because that's when I have access to my husband's pay stub. So the first thing I do I would like to call it my weekly money routine, if you will, is I kind of balance all the accounts. So I go on the bank account, I make sure everything matches up with my tracking on my Excel form, and then I also go on to our Discover It credit card and make sure that I know exactly how much we owe on there, because I like to pay that off every week. So I've already done that ahead of time. But then what I do is I pull up my husband's pay stub and we look to see how much he made and how much taxes were withheld based on what I estimated at the beginning of the month. So let's jump on the Excel sheet and get started. If you guys missed it, we've already done our entire year budget using my template. Now this is an Excel template you can purchase on Etsy. I'll have the link down below. But basically, on the yearly template, if you look down here on the bottom where it says 2022, you budget out your entire year. Now the first time you do this, it's going to seem a little time consuming, but after that you can literally just make a duplicate of this every year and then just update what you need to, because some things don't really change too much year to year. But also what I've done with the new template is now when you put your amounts in your yearly, it automatically populates to the monthly, so that saves you some time there. So we've already done our monthly, and then we've decided out of every paycheck, how is the flow of the money going to go? So basically we work on what's called a zero-based budget or a cash flow plan. So basically we're telling every dollar where to go. So if you remember, just recently we planned out the month of January, and we had some negatives because we were not counting on the overtime that we originally budgeted. And I have some bad news, or at least it's bad news for us, not so much for you guys, but we did not have overtime on this check on the 7th. So this is what happened. Basically, last week, so basically the 7th is from the hours my husband worked last week. They had 1 day off for the holiday, which I knew was a holiday pay, but they also, their boss was like, oh, we're gonna take, the extra day. So they had Monday off as a holiday, and then they took Friday off for New Year's Eve. Well, they did not get paid holiday pay for that Friday. We misunderstood. So what happened was the 3 days they did work, they worked 10 hours. So they basically had 8 hours of holiday pay and 30 hours of regular pay. And that was it. Basically, they had 38 hours, right, that they were getting paid for. So what HR or payroll ended up doing was they ended up using 2 of Ricky's paid time off hours to equal the full 40 hours. So I need to just let Ricky know, heads up, that was not a holiday pay, so that if they try doing that in the future, we need to kind of prepare for it. So what we need to change on the 7th here is there was no overtime. So we were already starting the month looking like a negative, meaning we are either going to have to cut down our grocery budget, cut down our eating out budget, or take money out of savings in order to cover our bills. So that's not really good. So now that's even more money we need to come up with. So I'm going to go ahead and gray this box in because we didn't have it. For the 14th, we do not anticipate any overtime. Right now they're just doing 8 hours, so I'm going to leave the rest of the month again with no overtime. But for the 7th, I can go ahead and make this amount, this 1,044, black now. So I just use my little A drop down that has my colors, and I'm going to make my letters, or my numbers if you will, black, because now this means that's the actual amount that we got. So at a glance I can know that's exactly what we got. The red is what I'm estimating. Then what I like to do is on this actual tab over here is I'm going to make this orange, because now at a glance I can say, okay, these are numbers we're working with now on the month. Okay. The other thing I want to update or change on here, my self-employment, that 2464, we actually did it now. So I originally was calculating this along with when I get paid from Google, which is my YouTube stuff. However, This was actually part of, within my self-employment budget, I do what's called a quarterly profit share bonus. So this was just my tiny little bonus from my self-employment. So I actually already transferred this over. So I'm gonna make this black because that transferred over. I do not estimate getting any money from self-employment this month. My expenses, with tax season and stuff like that, I'm not gonna have enough money coming in to give our personal budget anything. So I'm gonna make this one black because that money or that number's done for the month. And the other thing, we did get our cash back from Discover, and this actually was higher than anticipated. This is $61.60. So I'm gonna make that black because that's the official number now. The other thing that we're keeping an eye out on out of all my husband's paychecks is my health bonus. So that was not paid in the first paycheck. So I am gonna let Ricky know, hey, why don't you go ahead and reach out to HR again and double check this. The other thing though, however, is I have noticed that they have issued this as a separate pay stub before, and it's been done later on Thursday. So there is a possibility that come tomorrow that this actually might be paid. So I'm gonna wait until tomorrow, and then if we don't have that $350, I'll let Ricky know to reach out to his HR. But as of right now, I'm checking this in the morning, and on Thursday there's no pay stub for that $350. Okay, so this is what we're looking like. We have $1,130 basically before taxes. So now what we do is we go down into our spending categories, if you will, and some of these will be numbers that I get off of my husband's pay stub. So for instance, our pay ourselves first, we're investing in my husband's 401k before taxes, and that's done automatically through his employer. We have 8% into the regular 401k, which we're investing in 3 different mutual funds right now, and then we have 2% going into his employer stock. These are both put into his 401k, but they are separated on the pay stub, so I keep them separated on my tracking or my budget form. And we're gradually increasing his investing by 1% every month. So by the end of the year, we should be investing 20% of his income. So I'm gonna look at the pay stub really quick and see what we got going on here. So the 401k, $83.52, that's how much it was. So I'm gonna make this blue. I like to make that blue because now that tells me at a glance that this money, it's gone out of our paycheck. We're not going to see it in the bank account, but it's not spent and gone. It's invested or saved. And then again, I'm going to make the end here orange because we're now working on these numbers. We are most likely not going to be able to pay back any of our savings this month, but we should have, let's take a look at the ESOP or the employee thing. $20.88 is what's on the pay stub, and that's what we have here. So we're gonna make that blue because again, this is money that is saved or invested, and we're gonna make our other one orange. So I just want you guys to see, like, this is how I work my budget. Amanda, if you're watching, I know you made a comment saying that you're not good with Excel and that seems like a lot of work, right? So you're right. Like I mentioned initially, when you do your yearly budget, it might seem like a lot to go through and actually write everything out. But like I mentioned, once it's there, you can just reuse that every year, and you kind of just update how things have changed, you know, from month to month or year to year. So it gets easier once you actually start implementing it. One thing here we actually did spend $5 worth of giving, so I need to make sure I have that covered, so I can pay that back. I used the Discover credit card. I want to make sure I can pay that back onto there. So I'll make this orange because this is money that we will have. And then coming down to the taxes. So again, I take a look at my husband's pay stub and I see how much taxes actually came out versus what I estimated. So let me look at that really fast. So federal was 0. Again, we didn't have any of that overtime. So we're gonna make that black because that's done, and we're gonna open up this other one. Arizona State was 1107, so a little bit less than I anticipated. Now I'm going to change my colors here in a minute. And then Medicare was 1386. And then Social Security 5928. So So as you can see, those were less than what I estimated because I was calculating these percents I have on the side, like 6.2%, 1.45%, 1.3%. But this was before the deduction came out as far as the health insurance, and then as far as our retirement, because those come out and then you're taxed on what's left. So that's why those are actually lower than I anticipated, which is good because right now we need everything that we can get. And then the long-term disability, it was a 357, so that's right. So these are all correct here. And then the health insurance is $87.80 per paycheck, and we lucked out this did not change from last year. So now we basically we're down to our grocery budget. So we wanted to do 100 and we're doing 120 because that's what we've been spending on average. We have been noticing some prices going up. However, like I mentioned, we did not get any overtime. We're probably not going to have any overtime in January. So I need to bring this budget down a little bit and see if we can kind of shop our cupboards and keep it lower. So I'm actually going to lower this down to $100 a week. One of the biggest things that will be cut out of the groceries are added drinks, right? So normally I buy those green drinks, those daily green drinks. I just won't be buying any of those. I have some tea. I'll be drinking my tea. Ricky does get his energy drinks. We'll go ahead and continue to get those. So we're going to lower that down. We'll see how this week even goes. If we're able to stay at 100, I'm just going to have to be really frugal. Okay, so we should have 100 from this paycheck. Now our electric last month was only like $37. So I'm going to leave this at 60 for now because we're trying to do 60 a month so that when there's months that are more than 60, we already have money in the savings. So we're going to leave it at 60, but I may have to come back and change it just depending on how much we're short on everything. Again, we were doing part of the truck payment. We're most likely not going to be able to do that much of the truck payment out of this paycheck, so I'm going to delete that out for now and we'll come back to it. We should have enough to do the teardrop payment. So this, we don't actually make the payment, we just have the money ahead. So this teardrop payment comes out automatically on the 1st. We've already paid the 1st of January, so this amount right here would be for the 1st of February. Same thing with the truck, this would be for the 1st of February. And insurance would be the 1st of February. So we're kind of getting ahead on those bills. So we could push these back a few paychecks if we have to. Gas, we're estimating 90 a week. Ricky is riding his motorcycle this week, so I have a feeling it's going to be lower than 90, but we're going to leave it at 90 for now until we have a better idea of the difference there. And then the insurance, hopefully we have enough for that. We'll come back to that in a minute. So, okay, we are. Okay, good. So we'll have the insurance payment of the 222 put aside. Now, eating out, we are going to try not to eat out this week just because we already know we're short on some future weeks. So we're going to go ahead and not eat out this week. We're going to just see how that goes. And maybe it's a lot easier for me to not eat out than it is for Ricky. So I still want to leave something in there, but we're just going to see what happens. So this $249.94 is what we're actually going to put right here. $249.94 is what we'll have to put towards the truck payment. So again, we're going to have to see what we can do, what comes out of here. So we have $308.42 left. But as you see, that's only $558. That's not the full amount of what we need for the truck payment. So now we still are going to need money out of the next paycheck. So we're having this ripple effect right now. All right, so sometimes you just got to juggle those numbers around. All right, so 561.02. So we need 591.97 minus the 561.02 we have. So we need 30.95 left to finish out that payment. I don't know why I made that orange. This is still red. We don't have that money yet. So it'd be really nice if this 350 comes sooner than later, so I would feel a little more comfortable about some of the bills. The other thing we're gonna have to get rid of right here. So now that's gonna be $387.88. So if we need $1,435.96, and we'll have $387.88. We'll need $1,048.08. We're still negative $185. So even if we take off eating out, we're still gonna be negative around almost $100, right? So we're going to most likely have to pull money out of savings. Now that's what savings is for, right? So if I have to end up pulling money out of savings, most likely what I'll end up doing is, if I want to track that, then I might change this gift money thing and just say that was savings. I don't know. As of right now, though, as of the 7th, this is what this paycheck is looking like. We're gonna have $5 for giving to pay off part of that, $100 for food, $60 for electric. We're gonna put the teardrop and the insurance payment aside, $90 for gas, and about half of the truck payment aside. No eating out this week. The next thing I do when I'm doing my budget over here on my account tracking is I then put what money is going to be where, so that way when I have my direct deposit tomorrow, I already know what's for what. So this $24.64 is already in the account, but we're going to put where it's actually going. And then we also have this, like I said, we have this cash back of $61.60. So usually I use the cash back to go towards like the gas amount. So if I was budgeting $90 for gas, I'm going to subtract $61.60 because that's technically already on the Discover card as the credit. If I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but that's basically, that $61.60 is not coming into my account. It just stays on the credit card. So what I do then is when I come down here for my gas, I'm not going to pull, $90 out of that paycheck. I'm actually only going to use $28.40 out of this paycheck. And then on the side here, I put cash back $61.60. And then as I start spending money on gas, when it's time to pay that Discover bill every month or every week, then I'll say, okay, use 10 of the cash back, use 20 of the cash back, whatever we spent in gas for that particular time. So that's what we have. So as of right now, with the $61.60 cash back and the $28.40, that gives me my $90 for gas for that week, if that makes sense. Okay, so the rest of these are going to be actual cash. So I'm going to put on here that I'm going to have $5.07 lined up with my giving. And I'm going to have $100 for groceries, like I mentioned. There's going to be $60 in there towards the electric. Now, if you see this, I still have $28.52 in there because last month I budgeted $60, but it was only 30 something. So this money I will most likely just be transferring into savings, like I said, and I'll keep it in savings, or I might have to use it this month because of not having overtime. The car or the truck payment, we're gonna have like the $249.84, like I mentioned, have that put aside. We'll have the full teardrop and we'll have the full insurance payment. Those will just be sitting in my savings account until the week before they're due, and then I pull them over into what I call my necessities account. So I have certain bills set up to automatically come out. So the only bill I actually log on and manually pay every week is my credit card. Other than that, everything else is set up as an automatic payment. Obviously except for gas and food, like as we're spending money there. But anything else, it's automatically set up. So I don't need to go on there and be like, oh, I'm late because I forgot to log on and do it. It automatically comes out of there. The only thing I need to make sure is that that money is in that account before it comes out. And I always make sure the money's in the account minimum 1 week before it's actually coming out. That way I never overdraft or I'm not late. So I'm going to look at my husband's pay stub real quick and just make sure I'm calculating things correctly. So it shows that we should have $758.71 coming in as a direct deposit. We already had $826.94 in there, so we should have $1585.65 in this account. Okay, so that matches now. Okay, so as of right now, we have $826 in this particular checking account. When the direct deposit goes through tomorrow, we should have $1,585 in there. From there, what I do is the money that's for future bills, like I mentioned, gets put into our sinking fund savings account. Okay, so this $60, this $200, almost $50, this $117, this $222, those will all be put into the sinking fund savings account, and then everything else, basically the groceries and the gas money, will then be put into this, which is my necessities checking account. So this is the money that can come out of. Same thing with the giving money will go over there, because then I can make the payment on the Discover card for what we owe currently. This $802, this is part of our home project that I've been taking cash out, so that will stay in there. I still need to continue taking cash out of the ATM for that amount. So that's there. We still have some bills that are coming out. So we have the cell phone money currently right now for the cell phone that comes out on the 17th. We have the money for our solar that comes out on the 7th of January. These are January's money that's already in this checking account. And then we have water, sewer, trash comes out on the 10th, so that's already in the checking account. We still have $17 left from last week's gas budget, so we might have a little bit of extra money here. The girls have some money in here from the holidays. We did spend some of that, so you'll see on this card column here, this is our running balance on the Discover card. So I put, again, as we spend stuff, I line it up with the line item. So $5 worth of giving. This was me mailing my brother-in-law's stuff back to him, basically paying for that postage. And then so far we have Ricky's gone to the gas station twice. It always shows up as $1 until it processes, so he has 2 different fill-ups with the motorcycle, so I'm just waiting for those to process. And then we have the girls used their Christmas money to purchase some new clothes, so we're going to go ahead and pay that. And then I have my laser hair payment that just posted yesterday on the 5th, so we have the money in the bank to pay that. Ricky still has $50 of his Christmas money left, and then there is a balance on the credit card for $63.80. We are doing a terrain race as a family, one of those mud obstacle course races in February. So I've already registered and paid, but I'm not going to pay that part off until February, because I included that $63.80 in February's budget. So that balance will roll over to the next month, but that's fine. So that's where we're at with our accounts. So tomorrow, like I mentioned, we'll log on and we'll transfer the money to where it goes, and then we'll pay the balance on the Discover card, with the exception of that $80. So basically, we currently owe $183 on our credit card, and we'll pay all of that off except for that $63. When I budget out the yearly budget, I took last year's overtime and I divided it out between the 52 weeks, and it averaged out that Ricky was doing about 10 hours of overtime a week. However, if I look at last year's actual budget, February and March there was no overtime. In January there was a little bit of overtime. I have a feeling that January they're not going to have any overtime, but I don't know for sure. Ricky did mention that because they're trying to finish up this project, they're actually going to have them working nights possibly next week, so maybe they'll have overtime in addition. That's just because they already have part of the business that building's for is already moving in, so now as they finish up their finishing touches, they got to do it at night when nobody's in the building. So next week I have a feeling maybe they'll have a little bit of overtime next week for the following paycheck, but I don't know. As of right now though, it looks like we're gonna have to pull about $180 out of our savings, which I really don't want to have to do, but if we have to do it, we have to do it. But anyways, join me next Friday and we'll see how everything plays out for the next paycheck. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.